M-U-R-P-H-Y.
And you are a taxpayer, a parent, what are you?
I'm a taxpayer, parent of Northern Lebanon School District.
Okay, so you were one of the two people mentioned at the last school board meeting by one of the school board members. I believe was it the assistant superintendent? Or no, it was Eric.
The vice president of the school board, Nate.
Nate mentioned you both specifically during the meeting about some right-to-know requests, and that within the past 2 months they've received a number from you guys. Or within November and December. In January they were tallying the amounts, correct?
Yes.
What are you guys filing right to know requests for, and why is it so important to you?
Well, one, they're not holding people accountable. They're letting the administration just run right all over the board. The board is not reining in the administration. They get away with whatever they want. There's bullying is run rampant in the school. There's fights just about every day. Fiscally, they're going in the hole. Next year, they have 1.2 to 1.8 million in deficit in their proposed budget already for next year. And they haven't finalized their budget, but their spending's out of control. They keep losing money every year. If you look at their ending fund balance every year, it's going down for the last couple of years now. They've told us in 3 years that we're going to be in the hole. Pretty much, we're going to be in the hole negative next year. And who's going to pay it? I told them last year, do not give us any tax increase unless you do major cuts. 1.2 million to 1.8 million deficit, which they don't have covered, is not any cuts. And that's if they give us a 2.8% tax increase, which they're already trying to push. So we're trying to find, okay, where's the money going? How can we help them figure out what to cut? Because they're obviously not doing this stuff. There's rumors of money missing. I can't prove anything. I've got the financial audits from 2011 to 2012 to present, and the food service fund has been approximately $1 million short each year. They want to take $300,000 last year, $290,000 this year, and pay it back. At the budget workshop, I asked the business manager, where is that money coming from? Is that coming from the money received into the school through revenue, through taxes, through the state, through whatever? Where is that money coming from? Or are they just pretending the money's there and wiping it closed? The auditors in January said pretty much they can write that money off, fund it through the general fund. They don't have to pay back the general fund. Most school districts, when they run their food service short, the auditor said, just subsidize it from the general fund. They don't pay it back. The bills are already paid. So why do we want to spend $590,000, which you can't tell me if that's coming from money coming into the school this year or not? Why do we want to spend that when you do that, you're 1.8 million in the hole?
So you don't know where that money's coming from or where it's going? Is that what?
I don't know where the money's coming from. Is that coming from my taxes? Is that coming from money received from the state, from the real estate taxes, any other funds that they have? Is that coming from there? They won't say where that money's coming from. What it is since 2011 and 12, I've requested the audits for prior years for another 5 years or so, but it's been approximately $100,000, $200,000 difference, plus or minus. It's been about $1 million short. So why, when you're in a critical year where you're saying in 3 years, which would be after the budget after this next year, you're going to be in the red, negative, why would you pay it back now? If you took that, if you took your home finances and say you get 50 grand a year, your bills are 49 grand a year or 51 grand a year, would you then go pay off a loan for 20 grand with money you don't have and then not pay your bills, not pay your milk, not pay your eggs, not pay your electric? What are they not going to pay?
So your right to know requests, what do they specifically, what information are you looking to find out when you file those?
I look for information for finances. I look for information on did they do mandatory reporting like they're supposed to do? Are they holding people accountable? If a certain incident happened, what happened with it? Visitor logs for Jonestown. There was someone went into Jonestown that had a PFA on their child. Their child had the PFA on them. They're not allowed near them. And from what we've heard, he's been in the school 2 or 3 times. They won't produce the visitor logs. They'll deny my request.
So you just want to find that information. Yeah, that's you.
I want accountability.
And that's what those right to know requests. Have you received any right to know requests that have ever made you feel that have what's the word, pacified your need, not pacified, that have actually made you feel better, you know, like, hey, I got this information. Like, have they ever provided anything that?
They provide some information,
Yeah.
but then you'll have a board member that'll try and get you to rescind your right to know. One of the board members asked me to rescind one of my wife's right to knows. Why? It's a public right to know. They want to charge money for them. They want to charge a lot of money for some of the right to knows. You ask for the financials for their banking and their credit cards. The banking, they say they don't have online banking. I'm sorry, it's 2019. Why doesn't the bank have an electronic record? I'm sure they do. Why do they do it only in paper? Credit card statements. I asked for a credit card statement. They were denying that they had it in electronic form. I asked for them to sign an affidavit for that, and they would not sign an affidavit that they did not have it in electronic form, and they would not provide me an electronic form. If there's an electronic form, I'm allowed that free if it's what we're allowed to request in right to know. If you look up the right to know law, you see you can request some things, you can't request others. Everything I've requested falls under what we're allowed to request.
I have to ask this. So they mentioned he said, what, if this continues, by the end of the school year, it'll be what, $51,000 in fees. But you, correct me if I'm wrong, you seem to feel very validated in sending these right to know requests. And, you know, what would you say to taxpayers who hear that statement, and, you know, you're attached to that, right? Because they
I think it's a bunch of baloney. I do believe that the cost, because they send almost all right to knows to the lawyer instead of doing their due diligence themselves. I've even started providing them the laws, quoting the laws on where it's permitted, and I've sent a couple of requests like that where it's showing them doing their work for them that they don't even have to send it to their lawyer. If they would just provide the information that's legally requested, then they don't have to send it to the lawyer. Then they won't have the lawyer bill. It's lawyer fees because the superintendent would automatically send everything to the lawyer, and they'll delay the times that you would get it. They would extend it an extra 30 days, and then they'll decide whether or not they want to give it to you.
Is there anything else we should know, or anything else you want to say?
I'm running for school board for Northern Lebanon School District because I want to get this school straight financially. I want the leadership accountable, and we need to get the bullying stopped and get the fight stopping so that we don't have fights every day in this school. We need to take back our school properly.
Is there anything else pertaining to these right to know that you can think of?
No,
What message would you have to other parents or taxpayers? Why is this something they should be worried about or concerned about, or?
Well, here's one thing to be concerned of. Why, if I submit a right to know that someone submitted the month before, why do I get different information in my right to know than they did? And I know because we compared them. I actually sent an appeal in because of that, and to the state to appeal that. Because it's ridiculous. They're going to give one person one thing, one person another thing. Another right to know, submitted the same month, 2 people, almost the same day. They got one set of response. I got a totally different set. What are they doing?
I think I'm good.
Awesome.
I think I'm good. Unless there's, I always ask if there's anything else.
Cool.
Thank you for being willing to talk to us.
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay, now you want to take us through some of those right to know, show us some of the ones that you feel are most important?
Absolutely.
You can keep the mic on just because
Yeah,
it. 6:18, by the way. Just want to keep everyone. And then we'll have to
Awesome.
get going soon.
I need to get over to Lebanon soon. This is the appeal for the one of the ones where I received information and my friend did not receive different information, so we
You have both copies, the two separate copies that you received?
we have them somewhere. I think he has everything.
So these are all the right to know requests.
Oh, this is maybe a half of them.
You said this is maybe a
Yeah, we
half
do
of
a lot of them on the internet.
Yep, I do them electronically now.
That
So-
way they don't. That way they can't say anything about the charge, or.
It's just because I make them make it easier for me to submit, so then I don't have to go scan them.
These are the two separate ones.
No, that's my pile.
That's his pile. Here's a letter for the email log from the council for the school board, the former council from Howard Klein, where I was requesting, they're saying they're trying not to sign an affidavit that there's no electronic copy exists of credit card statements. We got a denial on a request to find any criminal investigations. We got a denial on request for mandatory reporting incidents. We asked for what mandatory reporting incidents were reported. They were not allowed.
Denial on district credit card receipts. Denial on what's been reimbursed for certain school years. Denial on stipends, bonuses for anyone for certain years. Denial on request for right to knows of who sent some in certain years.
Denial of who reported incidents and whom the incident was given to and what agency.
Denial on the right to know request on the administration rules and policies and educator conduct rules they're supposed to be following. They said they do not exist.
Denial on trips for Benzel and Tim Snyder.
List goes on.
Can you flip through that for us, or leave it that gigantic stack of there?
List goes on, folks.
Hold on 1 sec, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I just gotta get a fixed on it. Alright, go ahead.
My list goes on. And I've redacted some of my information on here, but there you go. They deny it. That's why I have to have another person send them in now, because they won't give me my right to knows.
Here's a right to know request for Mr. Benzel's good moral character review, that when a teacher applies to the school, they have to fill out a good moral review and a copy of his resume. I got the copy of the resume, but they denied the good moral review form. That it is not sufficiently specific under section 703 of the right to know law. And someone looked up the exact name of what that review was.
So they were able to deny that because they said it wasn't specific?
Because it wasn't specific enough. Emails back and forth about the trying to get the administrator contract and how they only gave me 3 contracts and then they said the rest were under Act 93.
Right here's my contracts they gave me, but I got all of them, he got different ones. I mean, that just shows the you know, how screwed up it is. You know, the school board has no transparency and makes so many decisions in the executive session. And in executive session, you're not supposed to make decisions. Isn't that a violation of the Sunshine Law?
At the last school board meeting, they talked about a retreat they had and a decision made there. That's a violation of the Sunshine Law. I sent them asking for the minutes of that because if they were making a decision, they had to have some minutes. And I even sent them the legality of it, and I sent them a link to your first year as a school board member, which it specifically talked about retreats you can't make decisions in. And where exactly, I believe that was 3.9 in that article.
And we're denied. You know, they're hiding something. You know, why hide things? Why do you think the Auditor General's, you know, coming in and doing all that? They're not going to waste taxpayers' money. They're going to, you know, so many complaints are made, you know, so many things. You know, the previous school board and superintendent used to post the audit on their website. Since this regime took over in 2017-18 school year, that's off the website. They don't want you to see them. There's no transparency.
So yeah, you actually filed for that paperwork because it was no longer posted.
Exactly.
This is the paperwork for the last audit.
Do they tell you how much this costs to print or to get?
They had it electronically so I could get it for free. And so I have electronically 2011, 2012 to this past year, 17, 18. And I have requested several years prior to that, I believe 2005, 6 on to still chase down what rumor I heard about the money and see where does the food service, what year does that start going wonky?
Now, even in here, I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I copied this from another person that's been doing right to knows because I got his right to knows and he puts
Simon Campbell.
he puts all the legal jumbo in there
He's the right to know king.
because
From the
they tried to get him to
They have
stop.
lawsuits on him now, the Department of Ed does. Because he's disrupted their right to know system so bad.
Is he fighting it?
You know who he is?
Oh yeah, he's fighting.
One of the inventors of Viagra. He's got big pockets. That's all he's doing, fucking with the school district.
Who is he seeking those right to know requests from?
School districts,
All
because he was
school
on the
districts.
school board at one time, and he's seen how crooked and corrupt they are, and how they abuse the taxpayers' money and this and that. Him being a wealthy guy, you know, doesn't, just because you're wealthy don't mean nothing, you know? He still wants his money to go to good use, and that's what took his march up on the school district.
And what I do now is before we just submitted it to
What was the last one you submitted?
I have to look. Before we just submitted to
You
Eric
submitted?
Bensel and
Yeah, just do it.
Can you show us the electronic ones too?
did I submit one today?
Today or yesterday, you did.
Are you worried that they're eventually going to do what you guys were just mentioning, that they're going to try to?
I doubt it.
Do it, I'll just have someone else do it.
Let me see.
It's okay for Rachel Sekelic and her husband to file $70,000 worth of them, you know, before she gets on the school board, but we can't. Big problem with that.
I asked on February 21st.
This is
What
the
hap-
most recent one, Mr. Corey.
You want me to shoot that?
Right, this is your most recent one?
Here, I'll pull it. Hold them up this way. Okay. 221.
Let's do a Fox43 live one and send it live.
Here's one requesting
Like a Facebook video?
Yeah.
One of these days.
copies of
days.
emails, provide statements of all the accounts for the $500,000 reserve stated on the budgets from 2016 to 2017, which is for our healthcare reserve. Include all transactions. If there's an online report, a report of all transactions showing deposits, interest gains, losses, etc. preferred. They did send that to me. They earned about $13,000, $13,000 to $14,000 on it. So of the time in there, it's only got to know 1.4, maybe 1.5% return. Rule of 72, you need 7.2% each year, otherwise your money's going backwards.
Are you an accountant for a living?
No, I just studied leadership and financials to get myself out of debt, and so I know a little bit. I asked for on the 20th, I asked for the latest draft of the 2019-2020 budget with the breakdowns. Let's see.
Did you get that one?
It's still too new. They don't have to give it. They have 5 business days to give it, and then if they extend it, they have another 30. I asked. Here's an important one. I asked for all copies via email. Copies of emails from Leanne Martin with suggestions of ways to make budget cuts from July 1st, 2017 through February 2019. Leanne Martin's list of ways to cut the budget. I believe she referred in one meeting to 500 ways. Let's take a look at it. Let's let the public help figure out where we need cuts.
Yep.
She said she had a ton of ways that they could cut the budget. Let's help them out.
Is this, did you get this?
Not yet.
But that's-
They sent a request for an extension.
Now, did she say where she suggested that? Was it in public meeting that she?
It was in one of the board meetings that
Now, where was she?
she said that she had that. I don't remember which meeting. I believe it was last year. What else do I have? I requested the slideshows from the from her budget workshop, as well as the E-rate funding proposal that they're looking for IT equipment. I did get those. Let's see, and here's the board retreat minutes that they do not want to give me.
And you have not been given,
No,
are you going,
the
they
20th.
denied it? Are you going to appeal it, or?
I'm not sure if that's still under waiting for them to give that info out. Let's see, that was the 20th. Here's my email providing them, showing them where the sunshine law doesn't allow deliberations or decisions in a retreat, and essentials for school board service, which is from the PSBA org website, that shows in 3.9 that right here.
Here's the same 2 things we requested, and we both got different information. Same things, 2 different people. Got different information.
3.9, can directors meet socially or in a group at training conferences without violating the Sunshine Act? Yes, social gatherings, training programs, and conferences, including retreats, are not considered school board meetings, even if a quorum is present, so long as the directors in attendance do not deliberate office school business or make decisions about agency business. And that's from Essentials for School Board meeting off PSBA work.
So they went to this retreat and
They had a
made-
retreat
and
at
they
the
made
elementary school.
decisions?
That's what she said, according to them. Watch the video.
If you watch the video on YouTube under the board meeting, at an hour, 7 minutes, 58 seconds, Director Sekelic talks about a decision that was, and discussion that they had.
That's what she said at the board minutes, on the board video, Northern Lebanon Advocate. I'm sure they're gonna say something to try to discredit what they've said, but I mean, it's, videos are there.
Right out their own mouth.
Why are they hiding? Why are you having so many executive sessions? Don't make sense. That tells that there's a troubled school. And that's why we're running for school board.
Not crazy, but.
Right. Just needs brought to the public's attention. We're a failing school district. Kids' futures are in jeopardy here.
When's the Auditor General's audit going to be complete? Have you guys been
I haven't
informed
heard
about
yet.
that?
No.
I have
Have
no
they
information
started
on it.
that?
I don't know. I sent them email after email, day after day, and attacked them on social media.
We might be better off giving them a call to see if they can tell us anything.
Maybe we could do a right to know cruise.
With them.
Yeah. They're a government agency, it's our right to know. Has the audit started yet, and when do you plan on it wrapping up?
Interesting.
Just give them a call, right? Wouldn't that be easier?
Not
They
easy.
probably won't answer. I don't
Or we call?
You can, you're the new.
You'll,
No,
they
they have media people who
Oh.
usually respond, usually.
because you're not asking the status of the investment. You're only asking, did they start? You're not asking what they
Right.
deserve.
Mhm.
Well, then they'll ease into that question in a little bit.
Yep.
It's a lot, guys.
And cut!
It's a lot.